All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. Gonna see for these two Google searches, one local and one city level. If either or both of them have BSS. So we're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And more about that, pinned video, home post somewhere on this profile. And this is because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our FSIC graph here in white. Over on the left, we got the highest intent peeps, Google searchers, social searchers, searching for a boudoir photo shoot in their city, the Bay right now. Focus on talk about BSS here in all our videos. Over on the right, we got the lowest intent peeps, peeps that ain't searching for boudoir photo shoot in their city right now, and actually most of them have no idea what the heck boudoir even is. We reach them through interruption ads on Instagram and Facebook. And we talk about that over on our sister brand, profiles, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, where we talk about BLCS. And over there, we currently only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. All right, so BSS is boudoir search sameness. That is when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google. If we got 0 slots on page 1 on Google, man, we're basically already dead here. Because we now have the data, we know that approximately 80% of Google searches never even never even go to page 2. They're page 1 and done searches only. So approximately 80% of the marketplace. So that's the bulk of the marketplace. So we're invisible to 4/5 of people from page 2 or deeper. So we got to get on page 1. But 1 slot on page 1, that ain't enough. Because guess what? There's 10 organic slots on page 1, which means, if there's 9 other boudoir photographers, everyone's got 1 slot. Everyone looks the same. No one stands out. So guess what? A buyer's simply going to click down through everyone, open everyone's website, do price quotes, price shop, price compare, negotiate, and that kills our margins. And since we're not, we don't look any different, we do not want either of these scenarios. Now, 0 1 slots on page 1 Google is actually not normal. It is the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation. So that's, more boudoir photographers entering the marketplace every single week, it seems like. Basically, anytime anyone gets a new iPhone or new camera, new gear, they're throwing up their Google My Business profile saying they shoot boudoir. They're throwing a website saying they shoot boudoir, and they are throwing up they're posting the mom Facebook group saying they're now for boudoir photo shoots. So the same number of sellers, or large number of sellers to the same number of buyers, means it's harder for every single seller. Margins compress, people disappear. And so everyone really understands market saturation. It happened in a big way with COVID. People lost their jobs, so they still had to work. Everyone's got a phone with a great camera. Okay, easy to start a boudoir photography business. Market saturation. Now, the one most people don't know about is the false belief of page 1 equality. So it seems like a lot of boudoir photographers simply kind of, passively accept that, as a boudoir photographer, you're going to get either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google, and that's simply how it is. But what actually happens is, let's say you got 1 slot on page 1 on Google, you're on like slot 8. If you new boudoir photographers into the market pushes our website back to slot, whatever, somewhere on page 2. And boudoir photographers are like, oh, well, that's how it is. You normally get either 0 or 1 slots page 1 on Google, and that's simply how it is. And this is 100% incorrect. And I know this because I went from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google in only 10 days. So I know it's false this is a false belief of page 1 equality, that a boudoir photographer gets 0 1 slots and that's it, because I went and did the opposite. So what I discovered was that Google will actually give as many slots on page 1 as somebody wants to put in the effort to acquire. So okay, now we can build a solution around this, and we've done that. See that in 2 pictures. Now, a boudoir photographer with BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer at DBP. And if we got 0 slots on page 1, we're on page 2 or deeper, invisible to approximately 80% of the marketplace. Obviously, we're disappearing. But if we're on page 1, we got 1 slot, we're still basically invisible. It's basically disappearing and being price shopped against everyone. Both cases are bad. And we care about disappearing boudoir photographer because if we are a disappearing boudoir photographer, that means our, it's kind of like the warning light, the flashing check engine light, the warning signal saying, hey, our boudoir photography business itself is on the path to actually disappearing. But thankfully, we now have a solution. We've discovered through testing that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And S-cubed methodology, I mean, it works exactly as the name says. We saturate social search with the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords. So we show up there when they search them. And when we do this, when we saturate social search, that's kind of like all the snow on the backside of the Andes Mountains, the east side, down in South America. That snow melts, goes into small streams, flows into small streams, small rivers. That's social search saturation. And then that all flows into the Amazon River. That's page one search on Google is the Amazon River. So it all starts with saturating social search. And the interesting thing about SQ methodology is it's the only thing that I've seen that can allow the boudoir photography business to continue to grow in the face of market saturation and even massive market saturation. The only other second thing that could allow that is having a large, well-known brand. So brand would obviously solve that, but that takes 5 to 10 years to acquire. We don't have 5 to 10 years. AI is here taking people's jobs. We need to dominate fast and fight against market saturation as fast as possible. And something that kind of looking at estimates here, I believe SQ methodology can actually help people build a brand actually approximately 8x faster than normal methods because we're showing up so frequently on so many different surfaces. So it's kind of like the only turbo brand builder boost thing out there. So imagine if you've got a large well-known brand and you're using SQ methodology, you're basically untouchable by market saturation. So an example of still growing in the face of market saturation, let's say we're in a boudoir. Let's say we're in, I want to go to Virginia Beach, Virginia. Let's say we're in Virginia Beach, Virginia. There's 1 million boudoir photographers there. Each boudoir photographer has their own websites and they shoot boudoir. Everyone's fighting for those 10 organic page one slots on Google. Massive competition. And what actually happens is we're like, man, the only way we can compete, well, if we had brand, but we ain't got that large, well-known brand. So the only other second option is we got to utilize SQ methodology. So we take it, we crank it up to the max. And when we crank it up to the max, let's say we're ranking for the first 300 slots for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords across all of social search. And when we do that, let's say that flows out onto Google, and we saturate the first 300 slots, page one of first 300 slots of Google for those highest intent boudoir buyer searches. And it's 10 organic slots per page on Google, so that means we're taking up literally the first 30 pages. And so for any boudoir buyers out there, anywhere they search, social search, Google search, we're basically the only boudoir photographer that pops up. We've literally taken all the slots from everyone else. I mean, this would be SQ methodology to the ultra super max. But if we're essentially the only one being found, whose business is growing? Ours, in the face of massive market saturation. Whose business is disappearing, slowing down, vanishing? Well, it's the 999,999 other boudoir photographers that can basically only be found Google page 31 or deeper. And we already know approximately 80% of searches never even hit page 2. So like, dude, who's actually going to page 31? Ain't nobody going to page 31. Now, once you're with SQ methodology, we have page one visibility, P1V. So initial benefit, more slots, page one on Google. Second initial benefit is actually, when we take those more slots on Google, we're actually kicking competing boudoir photographers off page one and putting them on page 2 or deeper, effectively making them invisible. And when we do that, we actually turn them into disappearing boudoir photographers, and eventually they'll most likely exit the market. So a lot of boudoir photographers actually get this benefit better than the first one we talked about. Now, page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So the GBC universe recommends, as a recommended minimum, of getting 3 out of 10 slots on Google page one. And that's because if everyone else has got 1 slot, our 3 slots, we're going to dominate them, look way better. People wonder why Google's recommending us so much and be clicking through ours. And in the super rare case, someone else has 2 links. Well, guess what? We are, our 3 still looks better than there too. So we're basically dominating all scenarios here. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. So this is our micro universe here. We got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness, caused by the dual horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality, which now we know is false. And we now have a solution. We can utilize S-Cube methodology to solve all this. Achieve page 1 visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. All right, now my results, utilizing S-Cube, purely utilizing S-Cube methodology for myself. So I want to, frank for the term here, BLCS boudoir, I want to dominate page 1 of Google, BLCS boudoir. So I utilize S-Cube methodology, started with 0 out of 10 links on page 1 of Google. And let's see what I was able to get to. So we got organic, slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. So I was able to go from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google in only 10 days. And these are my results I got purely using S-Cube methodology. All right, so now we're going to look at the main event here. Going to see if this boudoir photography business has BSS for its local search, Boudoir, California, and its city search, Temecula, California. All right, let's check this out. All right, so first search in Boudoir. So here we go. All right, we got 1. Boom, we got 2. Boom, we got 3. Boom, we got 4. Boom, we got 5. All right, we got 6. 7. Sponsor, that doesn't count. That doesn't count for our 10, so awesome. 7 out of 10. This is what we got. This is what we need. How many competitors did they kick off? Up to 6. They ain't being price shopped against no one, or very, very few. They ain't being price shopped against 9, because we already know approximately 80% of Google searches ain't never going to page 2. So 7 out of 10, fantastic. Now we'll look at our city. Closest one there's some Lake Elsinore or something, but I chose Temecula to do the city search, bigger city. So let's see. Let's see how we're ranking here, pulling in people from Temecula. All right. All right, we got 0 in Temecula. So it looks like we're actually we're missing pulling people in from Temecula. So we do got BSS. So we don't have BSS for the local search. That's good. And we also hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 for local search. Perfect. But we definitely do have BSS for the city search. We're at 0 out of 10 slots there. And we definitely did not hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots for the city search. So if you're a boudoir photographer, a disappearing boudoir photographer, which means you've done local search for the highest intent keywords in your local area for that boudoir buyers will be searching, and you've done the highest intent keywords for your city or close to city for highest intent keywords boudoir buyers will be buying, and you either have BSS for one or both, boudoir search sameness, or you do not meet the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google for either one or both. And you're seeing, you're liking the initial benefits of S-Cube methodology. You decide this is the one path, the one solution forward for you. If you want more slots page 1 on Google, and you definitely want to catch your competitors page 1 on Google, kick them to page 2, where now we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even make it to page 2. So the bulk of the market will never even find your competitors through organic search. And, you want to use S-Cube methodology because now you understand that the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief, and Google actually wants to give as many page 1 slots as possible to those who want to put in the effort to take them. And now we realize we got a methodology, a solution to take them with S-Cube methodology. And you understand the market saturation, new phone, new gear, bringing new boudoir photographers in. But you also are looking ahead and you're seeing that, hey, you actually need to fortify your business, and you decide you're going to fortify your business against the future boudoir photographers that come in, not only from the new iPhone and the new camera, but also the much larger share. The larger share is actually going to be more people losing their jobs to AI, and they still got to earn money. They still got to pay their expenses, and everyone's got a great camera attached to their iPhone already. So there's going to be way more boudoir photographers coming into the market because of AI, and you actually want to give yourself, fortification in preparation of those boudoir photographers coming into the market, kind of like the levees in New Orleans. They build up the sandbag levees because New Orleans is actually below sea level. So you actually want to build up that fortification in preparation for the future boudoir photographers entering the market, which is going to be more and more over time. So you already decided you're going to prepare for that, and you realized, hey, paying for Facebook ads ain't doing that. That's on Facebook. Paying for Google ads ain't doing that because that's only one slot on Google. The only option that gives you multiple slots um, is SQ'd methodology for boudoir photographers. And so you realize you need this solution. You want the initial benefits. You want the, pre-fortification benefits because you need to achieve page one visibility to become a visible boudoir photographer and have boudoir search visibility because you need those things in order to become the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you also like the back-end benefits as well, which we've not talked about yet, but you actually understand already, which is every day we execute SQ'd methodology correctly, we are actually increasing and building up these invisible thematic keyword columns attached to our business, or spokes, hub and spoke. It's attached into our business name, our brand name, our social accounts. And what this is doing, this is building up massive momentum and mind share in the back end of these AI systems. So every day we successfully execute SQ's methodology together, we're actually increasing the probability you get recommended here, AI overview, premium placement, the one top slot for a search in your city for a boudoir photographer, as well as increasing the probability that regular AI searches actually give you, actually feature you as well, as be ChatGPT search, Claude search, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Standard Google search still about 90% of searches globally, but dude, AI search is growing every day. I haven't done normal Google search probably in like a year to actually like read and learn stuff from a website. I just do the AI mode on Google. And last time I searched for boudoir photographer was in I remember it gave me 3 options, but I actually went on my own and looked like Google standard search, and there were about 60 options. So, dude, AI search can be more and more. SQ'd methodology gives us higher chances showing up AI overview at the top and all AI search. And you also recognize the final kind of extra benefit of using SQ'd methodology since you've decided to be the first mover in your city, you can make all this progress, build up all these initial benefits and the momentum for the future benefits, kind of the invisible AI mindshare for your business, ahead of all your competitors, because right now my plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city on this. And so as a result, you actually, every day we successfully execute SQ'd methodology together. We are building up, got initial benefits initially happening very fast, and kind of the long-term benefits, the invisible benefits for AI overview recommendation, AI search recommendation. Every day we're putting a bigger and bigger gap between your current competitors and the future competitors coming from AI stealing people's jobs and people becoming boudoir photographers because they need to earn money. We're building up this momentum where basically no one, when we execute on this, no one's going to be able to catch up to us. Because conversely, if someone else in your city went with me first, you would have to rederive or derive for the first time the correct way to do S-cubed methodology, and you would never actually be confident you've derived the correct way to do it. Never be 100% confident, and then you'd have to go equal our execution with me and your competitor. But we've already been doing it long before you, so we've already built up a massive gap between then and you with all the initial benefits and the future benefits, momentum with AI mindshare. So you'd have to then execute the same amount of us every day. And then if you did that, you'd simply maintain the gap that me and your competitor have already made of us being ahead of you. So you'd have to actually double or triple our execution to pull that AI mindshare, those invisible thematic keyword columns away from the competitor's brand, competitor's name in your same city for the AI mindshare in the back end. Pull that back towards yourself, and like, dude, who's got time for that? I mean, how are you gonna outcompete the person that invented SQ'd methodology? Me. So you've decided, screw that. You decided, okay, you're gonna be the first mover because you want to be the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. So if that's you, shoot me a DM when my DM's open. The hospital is not currently open for new patients. When I do open up for new patients, I watch these videos. I'll put out a notice, and yeah, shoot a DM then, and we'll see if you qualify for using S cubed methodology.